They called me a monster because they feared what I could become. Now they will witness it.
King M'Baku of Wakanda.
Ben, Yancey Street, between Broome and Grand.
The king has his duties to prepare our people for the afterlife. I have mine.
You seek to bring the world to its knees. Then you will first have to bring down a god.
Deep, silent void of space, a realm of ancient secrets and lurking shadows. From the darkness, a raspy, gravelly voice emerges. This is the Other, speaking for a power far greater than we can imagine. He promises a gift to Loki, the exiled Prince of Asgard, an army of Chitauri, warriors and a scepter of unimaginable power. Their price? The Tesseract, a glowing blue cube that acts as a doorway to infinite energy. Loki's eyes burn with a cold green fire. He doesn't just want the cube. He wants to see the world that rejected his brother Thor crawl at his feet. Deep beneath a remote mountain in the United States, the air is thick with tension. At a top-secret SHIELD facility, the ground begins to tremble. Director Nick Fury descends from a helicopter, his boots echoing against the concrete. Inside the lab, the Tesseract is screaming. It's glowing, pulsating with a rhythmic, haunting light. Dr. Eric Selvig is frantic. The cube is behaving like a living thing, opening a door from the other side. Suddenly, a blinding beam of blue light rips through the air, tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. The energy settles, and there, standing amidst the smoke, is Loki. He looks lean, dangerous, and possessed. With a wicked smirk, Loki begins his assault. He moves like a shadow, his scepter striking with lethal precision. He touches the chest of Clint Barton, the legendary Hawkeye, and the scientist, Dr. Selvig. Their eyes turn a cold, robotic blue. Their souls are no longer their own. They are now puppets of the god of mischief. Loki seizes the Tesseract and makes a daring escape as the entire facility begins to collapse into a vacuum of blue energy. Nick Fury narrowly escapes the crumbling mountain, watching as the Tesseract disappears into the night. The war has begun, and Earth is defenseless. The call goes out. Level 7, the world is ending, and Fury has only one option left, the Avengers initiative. We move to a dim, grimy basement in Russia. Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, is tied to a chair, surrounded by ruthless mercenaries. They think they have her trapped, but they are the ones in danger. A phone rings. It's SHIELD. Barton's been compromised. In a blur of motion, Natasha breaks free, taking down 4 armed men in seconds. Her mission? Find the monster hiding in the shadows of India. In the sweltering heat of Calcutta, Dr. Bruce Banner lives in a shack, treating the sick and trying to stay calm. He is a man of peace, but inside him lives a green titan of pure rage, the Hulk. Natasha finds him, her hand hovering near her gun. Banner smiles a tired, knowing smile. What does Fury want? To put me in a cage? Natasha tells him the truth. The world needs his brain to track the Tesseract's gamma signature. Reluctantly, the Doctor agrees to step back into the world he tried to leave behind. Next, we find a man out of time. Steve Rogers, Captain America, is punching a heavy bag in a quiet gym, each strike echoing like a gunshot. He's haunted by memories of a war 70 years old. When Fury enters, Steve doesn't see a hero. He sees a soldier who lost everything. But when he sees the photo of the Tesseract, the symbol of the evil he fought in the 1940s, the fire returns to his eyes. The shield is picked up once again. Finally, we soar to the glittering skyline of New York City. Tony Stark, the genius billionaire in the Iron Man suit, is finishing his greatest monument, Stark Tower. He's celebrating with pepper pots, thinking he's changed the world with clean energy. But Agent Coulson walks in, uninvited, with a holographic display of the Tesseract's theft. Tony's ego is huge, but his mind is faster. He sees the data, sees the threat, and the suit begins to power up. The soldier, the spy, the scientist, and the billionaire, 4 strangers with nothing in common, are about to collide on a massive flying fortress in the sky. The stage is set for the greatest assembly in human history. The sky splits open as a massive shadow looms over the ocean, the Helicoria. This isn't just a ship, it's a floating fortress, the pinnacle of human engineering. As Steve Rogers and Tony Stark step onto the deck, the air crackles with tension. 2 legends from 2 different eras. One, a soldier driven by honor. The other, a genius fueled by ego. Their first meeting isn't a handshake. It's a clash of ideologies that sets the tone for everything to come. But Loki isn't waiting for them to get along. He surfaces in Stuttgart, Germany, crashing a high society gala like a dark predator. He forces a crowd of terrified citizens to their knees, his voice echoing with chilling arrogance. In the end, you will always kneel, but just as he prepares to strike an elderly man who dares to stand, a shield flies through the air. Captain America has arrived. Moments later, the heavy metal roar of a CDC blasts through the speakers as Iron Man streaks across the sky. Weapons hot, outgunned and surrounded, Loki surprisingly surrenders. But his smile tells a different story. This is exactly what he wanted. As they transport Loki back to the Helicourier, the sky turns violent. Thunder booms, not from nature, but from a divine rage. Suddenly, a figure slams onto the roof of the jet. It's Thor, the god of thunder. He doesn't care about S.H.I.E.L.D. or their laws. He wants his brother. Thor rips Loki from the plane and lands on a mountain peak, demanding answers. But Tony Stark doesn't take kindly to tourists taking his prisoner. Iron Man tackles Thor midair, leading to a brutal, earth-shaking brawl between a man of science and a god of myth. Trees are leveled, armor is dented, and the mountain itself trembles under the weight of Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. It's only when Captain America intervenes, his vibranium shield absorbing a massive blow from Thor, that the fighting stops. Realizing they have a common enemy, Thor joins the group. But as they bring Loki into the heart of the Helicourier, the real danger begins. Loki is a master of lies, and, from behind his glass cage, he begins to pick at the scabs of the team's insecurities. Inside the lab, the atmosphere turns toxic. Tony and Steve uncover a dark secret. S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't using the Tesseract for clean energy. They are building weapons of mass destruction. Fury's lies come to light, and the Avengers begin to tear themselves apart from within. As they argue, Dr. Bruce Banner's grip on his temper begins to slip. The scepter is glowing, feeding on their anger. Loki's plan is working perfectly. The world's greatest heroes are too busy fighting each other to notice the approaching storm. The Helicourier is no longer a sanctuary. It's a ticking time bomb. The air inside the Helicourier is thick with betrayal. The laboratory has turned into a battlefield of words. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are inches away from a physical fight, their egos clashing as Fury's dark secrets are laid bare. But they are blind to the real threat. Loki's scepter, leaning against a table, is pulsating with a faint, hypnotic blue light, amplifying every bit of hatred in the room. Even Dr. Bruce Banner, the calmest man in the room, finds his hand reaching for the scepter without even realizing it. The trap is set. Suddenly, boom! A massive explosion rocks the ship. One of the Helicourier's giant engines is blown to pieces. It's an ambush. Loki's controlled soldiers, led by a brainwashed Hawkeye, have arrived to free their master. In the chaos, Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff are thrown into the lower decks. The fall, the pain, and the overwhelming stress are too much. Banner's skin begins to turn a sickly shade of green. His muscles bulge, his clothes rip, and his roar shakes the very foundation of the ship. The Doctor is gone. The Hulk has arrived, and he is out for blood, while Iron Man and Captain America desperately try to fix the failing engine mid-air. Natasha is hunted through the dark corridors by the unstoppable green giant. The Helicourier is tilting, losing altitude, and falling toward the Earth. Thor intervenes, tackling the Hulk through a wall, leading to a clash of titans. The god of thunder versus a force of nature. Every punch thrown between them threatens to tear the ship apart. Thor tries to reason with him, but the Hulk doesn't reason, he smashes. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the chaos continues. Agent Coulson spots Loki escaping his cell, but the god of mischief is always 2 steps ahead. Using an illusion, Loki stabs the brave Agent Coulson through the back. It's a cold, heartless strike, as Loki escapes in a waiting jet. The heart of S.H.I.E.L.D. begins to bleed. Coulson, the man who believed in heroes more than anyone else, dies in Nick Fury's arms. His last words are a haunting reminder. It's okay, boss. They needed something to assemble around. The aftermath is hauntingly silent. The engine is barely holding on. The Hulk has fallen from the sky, and Thor is missing. Fury stands in the wreckage, holding Coulson's blood-stained Captain America trading cards. The Avengers are broken, scattered, and defeated. But in this moment of absolute loss, something changes. Tony and Steve, standing over the blood of their fallen friend, finally stop looking at each other's flaws. They realize that Loki didn't just want to escape. He wanted to destroy their spirit. But instead, he gave them a reason to fight. The time for arguing is over. The Avengers are finally ready to become the team the world needs. The silence in the aftermath of the attack is deafening. But it's not the silence of peace. It's the silence before a hurricane. On the deck of the damaged helicourier, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers stand amidst the wreckage. The death of Agent Coulson has changed everything. The petty arguments are gone, replaced by a cold, sharp focus. Tony realizes Loki's true play. He's a diva. He wants flowers, he wants a parade, he wants a monument built to the skies, and there is only one place that fits that description. Stark Tower, New York City, cut to the heart of Manhattan. The city is bustling, unaware that the sky is about to tear open. Loki stands atop the balcony of Stark Tower, looking down at humanity like ants. Dr. Selvig, still under the scepter's spell, has completed the device. The Tesseract is glowing with a terrifying intensity, its energy beam piercing the clouds. Tony Stark arrives first, landing on his penthouse without his armor. He faces a low-key man-to-man, pouring a drink, stalling for time. "There is no throne," Tony says, his voice steady. "There is no version of this where you come out on top. Because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it." Loki, enraged, tries to mind control Tony, but the scepter clinks harmlessly against the arc reactor in Tony's chest. In a fit of rage, Loki throws Tony off the building, but the Mark 7 suit is ready. It rockets out of the tower, latching onto Tony mid-fall, and Iron Man rises from the depths just as the portal screams open. A massive, blinding hole rips through the fabric of space above New York. And then, they come. The Chitauri. Thousands of alien warriors on flying chariots pour out of the rift, raining fire upon the streets of Manhattan. The air is filled with screams, explosions, and the terrifying hum of alien technology. But the real nightmare is just beginning. A massive, armored beast, the Leviathan, emerges from the portal, drifting through the skyscrapers like a metal whale of death. The military is useless. The police are overwhelmed. New York is falling. Suddenly, a streak of red, white, and blue flashes through the smoke. Captain America is on the ground, directing the police and saving civilians. Thor descends from the heavens, his lightning arcing through the Chitauri ranks. Black Widow and Hulk are now free from Loki's control, are in the thick of the fight, proving that you don't need powers to be a hero. But they are scattered. The odds are impossible. That is, until a small, rusty motorbike rumbles onto the scene. Dr. Bruce Banner has returned. He looks at the towering Leviathan heading straight for them. Tony screams, "Over the comes, bring the party to us." Steve looks at Banner and says, "Doctor, now might be a really good time for you to get angry." Banner turns with a smirk. "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." In a split second, the man disappears, and the Titan returns. The Hulk catches the Leviathan with his bare hands. slamming the massive beast into the pavement. For the first time, the 6 of them stand together in a circle, surrounded by fire and aliens. The camera circles them in one of the most iconic moments in cinema history. The Avengers have finally assembled. The real war for Earth has just begun. The streets of Manhattan have turned into a graveyard of steel and fire. The Avengers are standing back to back, a circle of gods and monsters protecting the heart of humanity. Captain America takes command, barking orders like the legendary soldier he is. Stark, you've got the perimeter. Thor, you've got to bottleneck that portal. Hulk, smash and smash he does. The Hulk leaps from building to building, tearing alien ships apart with his bare hands, while Thor's lightning turns the sky into a web of white-hot energy. But for every 100 aliens they kill, 1,000 more pour through the rift. The Chitauri are endless. High above in Stark Tower, Black Widow fights her way to the portal device. She realizes the only way to close the door is Loki's own scepter. But as she prepares to shut it down, a new threat emerged not from space, but from Earth. The World Security Council, blinded by fear, has launched a nuclear missile toward New York City. They are willing to sacrifice millions of innocent lives just to stop the invasion. Nick Fury screams into the radio, but it's too late. The missile is airborne. It's a death sentence for the city. Tony Stark hears the transmission. He looks at the city he calls home, at the friends he's finally learned to trust, and he knows what he has to do. "I've got a nuke coming in hot," Tony says, his voice surprisingly calm. I know just where to put it. He intercepts the missile, grabbing it with his armored hands, and begins the long, vertical climb toward the hole in the sky. As Iron Man crosses the threshold of the portal, the world goes silent. He enters the cold, dark vacuum of deep space. Below him, the Earth looks beautiful and fragile. Ahead of him, the massive Chitauri mothership looms. Tony releases the missile, watching as it strikes the heart of the alien fleet. A blinding explosion erupts, and across New York, every Chitauri soldier drops dead as their link is severed. But Tony is falling. His power is gone. His suit is dead. He's drifting in the silence of space, eyes closed, ready to accept the end. Back on Earth, Captain America gives the order. Close it. The portal shrinks and vanishes just as a small, golden spark falls from the sky. It's Tony. He's falling like a meteor. Just before he hits the ground, the Hulk catches him in mid-air, sliding across the pavement. For a moment, time stops. Tony isn't breathing. The heroes gather around, their faces grim. But then, with a sudden gasp and a joke about shawarma, Tony opens his eyes. Death couldn't hold him. The battle is won. Loki, battered and beaten after a hilarious thrashing by the Hulk, is captured. But the world has changed forever. As the sun sets over the broken skyline, the Avengers stand together one last time before going their separate ways. Thor takes Loki and the Tesseract back to Asgard. The others disappear into the shadows, but Nick Fury knows the truth. They'll be back, because now the universe knows that Earth is no longer an easy target. Earth is protected, but far away, in the dark corners of the cosmos, a giant purple figure turns and smiles. Thanos, he has seen the strength of the Avengers, and he is not afraid. The game has only just begun. In that, my friends, is the epic story of how the world's mightiest heroes became a family. But this is just the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What was your favorite moment from this battle? Was it Iron Man's sacrifice or the Hulk smashing Loki like a ragdoll? I want to hear your thoughts. So drop a comment down below and let's get the conversation started. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Avengers, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell notification so you never miss our upcoming breakdowns of your favorite movies. Thank you so much for watching. Stay heroic, and I'll see you in the next one. The silence of New York City is shattered not by a siren, but by a scream from the heavens. As the Tesseract opens a hole in the fabric of space atop Stark Tower, the Chitauri army pulls out like a swarm of locusts. This is the moment the world changes forever. This isn't a riot or a terrorist attack. It is an alien invasion. You see the terror in the eyes of the citizens below as chariots of fire rain down energy blasts, turning the streets of Manhattan into a graveyard of glass and steel. Every explosion is a heartbeat of a dying era. The police are overwhelmed. The military is minutes away. And the only thing standing between humanity and extinction is a group of people who, just an hour ago, couldn't stand to be in the same room together. The Assembly, Earth's mightiest heroes. Then comes the moment that defined a generation of cinema. Captain America, the soldier out of time, stands in the middle of the chaos, barking orders to police officers who are twice his age but half as brave. Black Widow and Hawkeye, two humans with nothing but a bow and a pistol, stand against a god's army. But the real shift happens when the air begins to vibrate. Iron Man streaks through the canyons of the city, leading a mechanical, Leviathan-y beast the size of a skyscraper straight toward a waiting Bruce Banner. As the giant monster closes in, Banner utters those legendary words, "I'm always angry." The transformation into the Hulk is violent, a green explosion of pure muscle and rage that stops the Leviathan dead in its tracks. As the six heroes stand in a circle, the camera pans around them, capturing the birth of the Avengers. This isn't just a team. It is a promise that no matter how dark the night gets, someone will be there to hold the line. The God and the Beast. Loki's downfall. High above the chaos, the god of mischief, Loki, watches from the balcony of Stark Tower. He believes he is the king of this new world. He looks down at the destruction with a cold, regal pride. But his arrogance is his undoing. When the Hulk leaps onto the penthouse, Loki tries to assert his divine authority. He screams about being a god, about being superior to dull creatures like us. But before he can finish his sentence, the Hulk grabs him by the legs and slams him into the floor like a rag doll. The sound of a god hitting concrete over and over again is the sound of an ego shattering. Loki is left gasping in a crater, realizing too late that on this planet, being a god doesn't make you invincible, it just makes you a bigger target. The battle reaches its breaking point when the World Council, blinded by fear, decides to nuke their own city. Nick Fury watches in horror as a jet launches a nuclear missile toward Manhattan. This is the ultimate test for Tony Stark. He catches the missile mid-air, his suit's power failing, his oxygen running low. He knows this is a one-way trip. As he flies the missile up, through the portal and into the cold, dark silence of deep space, he sees the true scale of the enemy, massive, Chitauri command ship. He releases the missile, the explosion lighting up the vacuum of space like a second sun. As Tony's suit shuts down and he falls back toward Earth. Eyes closed, he is no longer just a billionaire in a suit. He is the man who looked death in the face and didn't blink. He falls through the portal just as it closes, saved at the last second by the Hulk, proving that while they started as individuals, they survived as a family. The aftermath. A world forever changed. As the dust settles, the world is left in a state of shock. The Avengers stand among the ruins, exhausted and broken, but victorious. Thor takes Loki and the Tesseract back to the realm of the gods, leaving the humans to pick up the pieces. But the ending is bittersweet. The secret of the other guy is out. The existence of aliens is no longer a conspiracy theory. It is a terrifying reality. In the final scene, we see the Avengers going their separate ways. But the message is clear. They will return, because somewhere out there, in the darkness of space, someone is watching. Someone is smiling at the challenge Earth has presented. The war for the universe has only just begun. And the Avengers are the only ones who can stop the coming storm. The silence after the storm, a world reborn. The dust of New York does not settle on a world that is at peace. It settles on a world that is forever changed. As the six heroes stand amidst the ruins of Grand Central Station, the air is thick with the smell of ozone and burnt metal. There is a haunting silence that follows the roar of the Hulk and the crackle of Thor's lightning. People emerge from the subways and the shadows, looking at the sky not with wonder, but with a new, permanent fear. The era of human isolation is over. The Avengers have pulled back the curtain on a universe that is vast, violent, and hungry. This victory feels heavy, like a debt that will eventually have to be paid in blood. The separation of the gods. In the heart of Central Park, the team gathers for one last time before the winds of destiny blow them apart. The sun is setting, casting long, dramatic shadows over the grass. Thor stands tall, the Tesseract glowing with a dangerous blue light within its containment unit. Loki, bound and silenced, looks at the heroes with a gaze that promises this is only the beginning of a much larger nightmare. With a single flash of light from the Bifrost, the gods vanish, leaving the mortals behind on a planet that suddenly feels much smaller. The bridge between worlds has been rebuilt, but the scars on the Earth remain raw and exposed. The soldier and the machine, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, stand on the edge of the park, two men from different centuries who are now tethered by a shared trauma. Steve looks at the city he once knew as a boy, now a landscape of alien technology and broken glass. He realizes that the war he fought in the 1940s was simple compared to the moral complexities of this new age. Tony, meanwhile, avoids eye contact, his mind already racing with blueprints for defenses that no one else can imagine. Their handshake is brief, but it carries the weight of a silent pact. They are the leaders of a new world, yet they are walking into a future where their ideologies will inevitably collide. The unseen watcher, but the true end of this story lies far beyond the reach of human satellites. Deep in a corner of the galaxy where the stars go to die, a servant kneels before a throne of rock. He speaks of the humans, calling them unruly and impossible to rule. He warns his master that to challenge them is to court death itself. It is then that the Titan turns. The purple-skinned giant, Thanos, looks into the camera with a smile that is both beautiful and terrifying. He does not fear the Avengers. He welcomes them. To him, the struggle of Earth is merely a game, and the Infinity Stones are the prizes he is destined to claim. The screen fades to black, leaving us with the chilling realization that our greatest heroes have just caught the attention of a monster who intends to erase half of existence deep beneath the surface of the Earth. In the high-tech bunkers of the Triskelion, Nick Fury stands before a wall of monitors. The world is demanding answers. The global councils are screaming for accountability. They want to know why AA group of dangerous individuals was allowed to roam free in one of the most populated cities on the planet. But Fury remains unmoved. He knows something the politicians do not. He knows that the Avengers didn't just save a city. They sent a message to the rest of the galaxy. The world is vulnerable, yes, but it is no longer undefended. As he looks at the encrypted files of each hero, he realizes that the Avengers Initiative was never just a plan, it was a gamble that finally paid off. The ghosts of the lab. Back at the ruins of the Helicoria, the silence is deafening. The laboratories where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner once joked and argued are now empty, save for the flickering lights and the ghost of a dream. But the secrets left behind are far more dangerous than the weapons they fought against. The blueprints for the Tesseract-powered guns, the data on the Hulk's physiology, and the traces of Loki's mind-bending scepter, these are the shadows that will haunt the future. Every piece of alien technology gathered from the streets is a seed of a new kind of war. The era of the super soldiers fading, replaced by an era of super science that threatens to spiral out of human control. The final guard. As night falls over the globe, the heroes are scattered across the map. Hawkeye and Black Widow return to the shadows, their ledgers still stained but their spirits forged in fire. Captain America stands on a balcony in Washington, D.C., looking at a world that is too fast and too loud, trying to find his place in a century that doesn't remember the sound of a prop plane. And in a secret workshop, the sparks fly as Tony Stark begins to build a new suit, a stronger suit, one that can withstand the heat of a sun and the pressure of a void. They are no longer just people. They are the watchers on the wall, the first and last line of defense against a darkness that is already beginning to move toward them from the edge of the universe. The eternal hunger. Somewhere in the deep, cold vacuum of the cosmos, the Chitauri fleet is regrouping. They are not defeated. They are merely waiting. Their master, the one who sits upon the throne of silence, does not care for the loss of a single army. To him, the Avengers are a curiosity, a minor obstacle in a plan that spans billions of years. He watches the blue marble of Earth with a cold, calculated hunger. He is not interested in ruling the humans. He is interested in the balance of the scales. Every soul saved by the Avengers is a soul he will eventually demand. The cosmic gears are turning, and the heroes of Earth have no idea that their greatest victory has just lit a signal. Fire that will guide the ultimate destroyer right to their doorstep.